If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Scene Snobs podcast. I am your host, Mick Manhattan, the Scene Snob himself. And we're back again. It's actually a pretty quick turnaround on this episode, because if you remember, I was sick last week, I should say. And I kind of delayed the episode, and it didn't come out until last Saturday. So now it's Wednesday, and I'm turning around, and not much has been going on, but we did get some very cool trailers, and I kind of wanted to go over a few things that I've been reading about, some things that have just interested me going on in the entertainment world. So we got, I did want to talk about the Morbius trailer, which I wanted to talk about in the last episode, but I kind of ran out of time, and I kind of want to give my reactions on it because I was so excited about it. Morbius was always a cool character in the comics for me. I didn't read Blade comics, but I always liked when Blade would show up, or Morbius would show up in Spider-Man. Initially, he was a very cool, different type of character, and I like the fact that, he was a living vampire, but, when he would show up on Spider-Man, it was so different. It was a different type of rogue in his rogues gallery, so Morbius showing up was, in a weird way, ironically, a breath of fresh air, because he didn't have a lot of supernatural. Even though Peter Parker seemed to always be dealing with, interdimensional things and stuff like that, it always seemed to be explained by science. And so is Morbius, so I can't really say much to that effect, but there was a supernatural element to it, of course. He's a vampire. There may have been a scientific route to get there, but he was, in fact, a vampire. And they played him up like a vampire. The way he looked, everything else. So, but when I heard that they were doing a movie on Morbius, they got Jared Leto. Jared Leto's a great actor. Don't get me wrong. I like the fact that Matt Smith's in it. They got a lot of people to be in it. And it's connected with Spider-Man. You see it right in the trailer. But I wasn't excited when I first heard. Because I was just when you saw the Blade deleted scene back in the day, and you saw Morbius standing up on the building, and it was kind of this is going to go off. And then you never came to fruition. We didn't get anything with it. That was sad. But, we got... now we're getting a movie, and I didn't think Morbius was enough of a character... a deep enough character to carry his own movie. So when I heard the news, I was like, all you really have is Jared Leto. What is that going to do for you? Because especially after seeing the Venom movie, and I didn't hate Venom at all. I thought they did a pretty good job with it. I just wasn't as excited about it because it wasn't really a tie-in. Yes, it's in the same world as Spider-Man, but they didn't really tie it in. And Venom's storyline, of course, is highly tied into Spider-Man, and I just thought it was a missed opportunity to do that, but whatever. But I just didn't love it. I didn't love Venom, and so when they were talking about Morbius, and then it started to come to fruition, I was like, I probably like Morbius even less. But I'll tell you, I saw that trailer, and that trailer looks awesome. I'm really excited for it. I love his look. I love that they're going with his backstory, and they're going to play that up. And I love that they brought Michael Keaton back into it to kind of set up maybe a Sinister Six, or however that plays out. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, really interesting. The fact that it's going to tie in more, where Venom didn't really tie into... It seems like they wanted to say, hey, he exists in the same world, but you're not going to hear anything about this. I was kind of hoping that it would tie in with Spider-Man more. And this seems to be giving us that tie-in that we want. He is one of the rogues. So why not put him in there? And I can't wait to see what happens. So I'm definitely on board for right now with that trailer. I'm definitely on board with the movie. I can't wait to see it. And even going forward, if there are things that lack around it, I'm still kind of excited to see it. It feels like a Marvel movie, but it feels like a darker Marvel movie, which is funny because if you think about it, in DC, and I'm just going to adjust a little bit here. Sorry, got my hand in the way there. Sorry about that. Just wanted to put a little less headroom on there. So we have DC, and DC's trying hard. I'm going to kind of get into the DC TV world because I want to talk about Crisis on Infinite Earths, but that's going to be more that's going to close out. I just want to talk more about DC with like what I'm hearing about the movie now. I'm hearing they're going to do a Dark Justice League movie, which would be awesome, but they've screwed up so much that I doubt they'll get it right, and it's sad to hear, especially since I haven't seen it, but I had heard that the first season of Swamp Thing was great, and they canned that before it even started. They canned it supposedly, so I'm kind of annoyed by this. So it seems like Marvel's going in that direction. That's like, oh, you're doing a Justice League Dark? Okay. We're going to put Morbius. We're going to have Blade. We're going to have all these things that are the darker parts of the Marvel Universe. And I love it. I think they're going to hit the nail on the head. And I think DC's still going to be standing around kind of twiddling their thumbs. But I don't want to harp too much on DC because I'll get to that in a little while. But we had some other trailers too, some exciting ones. So we had the rhythm section with Blake Lively, which looks interesting. I don't know much about it, and I just learned through the trailer what the rhythm section means. So it looks kind of cool. It looks like she's family was murdered and now she's out for revenge. Kind of looks like that in the line with kind of like a Death Wish. Maybe not really Death Wish. Death Wish, with the exception of the remake, like if you think about the original, like he's just becomes a vigilante. He never really avenges anything. He just is like, okay, you killed my wife, you raped my daughter. I'm going to murder everybody just cause. And you never see Jeff Goldblum again. So this looks more like calculated, maybe more like the Bourne movies type, where she trains and she goes to kill, become who she needs to be to kill the people who killed her family. It looks interesting. It actually looks more of an interesting take than the one that I think Jennifer Garner did, Peppermint. That wasn't as good for me. I didn't really enjoy that as much. So hopefully this one will be better. We got Horse Girl, which is Alison Brie. I think it's a Netflix film. I don't know why. I think the end was in the corner, but that's what I'm remembering. So it seems like she starts losing her touch with reality a bit, like in Horse Girl. It doesn't really explain much. It just seems like she day in day out, she's just kind of living life. But then she finds weird things going on around her, but it's not supernatural. Well, it might be. I mean, they don't really leave that open. It just seems like maybe she's kind of losing her mind a little bit. So, but it's enough in the trailer for me to want to check it out. So, go check out the trailer on that, Horse Girl. Another Netflix movie, Spencer Confidential. I'm kind of excited for this. It's Mark Wahlberg and Winston Duke. They are playing Spencer and Hawk. Now, if you don't know, for us older folk who grew up in a bar with even older men, we watched old TV shows, and one of them was Spencer for Hire. So I grew up watching that, and I was Robert Ulrich, and Avery Brooks played Hawk in that. And basically, he was a private investigator. They're both private investigators, and they would go out and they would, Spencer was more the private investigator, and Hawk was kind of like his muscle, his friend. And so they go out and they would solve mysteries. Well, this is the kind of the beginning of that. Mark Wahlberg is playing Spencer, and then you have Winston Duke playing Hawk, which I'm excited for. I think it's going to be pretty cool. It looks good. Other than Post Malone trying to look like he's in prison and he is there for anything else but getting beat up. But he's in the movie for, it seems like, a split second. But it looks interesting, and that's going to be a Netflix movie that comes out in March. Another movie, a new Patrick Stewart movie named Coda. It looks like a drama. I thought it might be a thriller, but it looks like it's not. It looks like it's going to be a straight drama, because I thought the trailer was going to go one way at one point. He's an older pianist who lost his wife, I guess, a few years earlier, and he's kind of lost his way and kind of went into seclusion. And Katie Holmes plays a younger woman that he falls in love with, and she starts to inspire him. So that'll be interesting. It looks pretty good, actually. It looks endearing. We got Alex Rider, which is a new TV show on Netflix. I guess it's based on a book series. Alex Rider is a teenage MI6, I guess, British secret agent. It doesn't look bad, but I mean, I don't know that I need like a British agent Cody Banks TV show, which is what it kind of looks like. Maybe not as hokey, but like, it'll be more violent. It'll be more suited towards, like, I guess, later teens or whatever. But I don't know. I don't know anything about the books. Trailer looked kind of cool, but it also is very reminiscent of the old James Bond Jr. cartoon, which, if you remember, was a cartoon very short-lived back in the 90s, where James Bond's nephew, so I don't know why he was James Bond Jr., would go out, and he had all these gadgets and stuff, and he would solve, spy crimes, I guess. So we got some cool things coming up. We got Picard. Picard starts tomorrow. I was thinking next week. I don't know why I was thinking next week, but yeah, it's tomorrow. I'm completely flabbergasted by that. But very excited. He's back. Like, he was on The View today, and I thought it was beautiful, because he's sitting there, he's talking with his old pal, Whoopi Goldberg, and he says that he and the creators of the show want to formally invite her to bring her on for season 2, so that we're going to get Whoopi Goldberg back. She accepted, so she's coming back to play Gyna, and it's exciting, man. Now, I should preface everything I say is, like, I've always been surrounded by very hardcore Star Trek fans. I really like Star Trek. I'm more of a Star Wars guy, but I love Star Trek. I love the Enterprise. I have all of them in Eagle Moss up there. I've always loved that ship. I've always thought it was the best ship. Followed very closely by my favorite Millennium Falcon, my second favorite Millennium Falcon. And I love the movies. So I was always more of I love these movies so much type of deal. Especially the original series movies. And I've watched the original series. As a kid, I watched Next Generation. I did not watch Deep Space Nine as a kid. I was older when I just sat down and binged all of that. I've never seen Voyager. And I have watched all of Enterprise. I'm not against Voyager. I've just never gone back to go and binge that. It's probably time. I should probably go back and check it out. Again, I've always been more interested in the happenings on the Enterprise, because I love that ship so much. So I think that's why I always, like, I watched Enterprise when it was on TV. I watched Next Generation was on TV. I watched the original series, like in reruns when I was a kid, and I still do. I'll still put on episodes. And Deep Space Nine I watched when I got older, and so I think Voyager's going to be next. Now, I think the reason for that was Next Generation was just kind of my introduction, because it was on when I was a child. Like, it came on in 87, so, I think it was 86 or 87, and so I was about 5 or 6, and it was syndicated, so it was on, like, Saturdays at 7 p.m., and we watched it. It was just on. It was just one of those things, like, after the Saturday afternoon movie was over, there was nothing really on. You had Baywatch, and then you had Next Generation until you got to 8 o'clock, which was all the primetime slots. And we watched it every week. I remember watching it. I remember me and my brothers, we watched it. We would joke around with each other about it because we didn't fully get it. But I remember always being enamored by it. Like, I knew who Captain Kirk was, but I never saw the two. I never married the two until later, of course. I've watched everything again, and I love it. I love everything about it. And I give a lot of my friends a hard time about who the best captain is, and I'm always saying Kirk. And I love Kirk, and Kirk is great. Kirk is a kick-in-the-door guy, and I can always appreciate that type of cavalier attitude. But, I mean, hopefully they're not watching this episode, but of course it's Picard. Picard is the best captain in the history of Star Trek on screen. So, and I say that because he handled things beautifully. He trusted his people. He was a great leader. Just everything he did. He calculated moves, even when he was angry. Like, he never had to resort to violence. I thought one of my favorite things was with Q. He always dealt with Q, and how he would just always be annoyed. Like, I don't have time for you, Q. Like, Q could blink everybody out of existence. He was God. And he was so interested in Picard because Picard just would not put up with his stuff. Picard was just like, I don't have time for you, for this or for you. Leave me alone. And he'd still have to deal with him because Q's not letting him go that easily. But, like, he always overcame, and I love that. I mean, he overcame being the Borg, but one of my favorite things, like when you get to Deep Space Nine and Q shows up, and immediately Sisko punches him and knocks him down. He's like, Picard never did that. And he's like, I'm not Picard. And I respected Sisko for that and many other reasons because I thought that show was great too. But it was like, it does show like Sisko isn't Picard. Picard is a whole other level of leader. But Sisko is doing the best he can, and he acts on his reaction. So he has a little bit of Kirk and he has a little bit of Picard in him, and I always love that. But I just always loved how he handled Q, and they showed it. They showed a difference. Because not even Riker would step out of line and punch Q. And if he did, Q would not put up with that. So, with that, I'm really excited for this new show coming up. They had released kind of a small part of the first episode, I guess, and he's being interviewed, it seems. I don't know whether it's like for a college class in Starfleet or something like that, or what it is really, like, but he's being interviewed, and they asked her, like, you were high command, such, they ask about Data. They ask if he ever doubted Data, and he said never once. And then they were like, why'd you leave Starfleet? Like, why you were high command, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, because it's not. And he gets mad, and he's like, it's not Starfleet. It's not the Starfleet I know. And that's what I'm most intrigued by with this new series. That's what I was always intrigued by with this. I always kind of wanted to see how the world worked. They always told you, they said, we don't use money. They always gave you snippets that made it more interesting. But to really see how the world that Star Trek takes place in work, and that what is Starfleet? What is this entity that we're supposed to just buy in that they're good and not? And how is it going to change? How can it sustain itself? Can this utopia that Gene Roddenberry gave us sustain throughout time? And I just, I'm interested to see what they do, because obviously it doesn't. Obviously there are things that are going wrong, and it's not the Starfleet that he remembers, so he walks away from it, and now he's got to put together a new crew that's not Starfleet at all. Like, some of them are bandits and rogues and such, and or outcasts, and to see Picard pull them all together and have to captain again is going to be real interesting, and I'm excited for it. But how it all plays out and what kind of world is this now? What has Starfleet done? What is Starfleet doing? They have a lot of cool things. So I think they're going to give us more answers of the world in this, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. I do, I don't like politics in anything, but I do seem to like it in Star Trek and just the inner workings of how it all works, because who doesn't want to live in a utopia, you know? But how does it go when it goes bad? So, I mean, I know it's topical and everything else, this was going on in the world, and that's what they're trying to do, but I'm definitely excited to see where this goes. And Patrick Stewart's back, and they're bringing most of the cast back, just even if it's for snippets, but I love it. I just love it. Now, with Picard, I think Star Trek is going to dominate again. Now, I was talking about my two favorite ships. Swiftly, I should say, coming up and taking the third slot is the Orville. I have fallen in love with that show. It's very reminiscent of Next Generation. From the first episode, watching the pilot, I was like, I bought in. It's made by Seth MacFarlane, who is a genius, and B, knows how to tell a tale, man. Like, he knows how to write a story. And when I was watching this, and, you know, as each passing episode just kept getting better and better and better, and now it's going to Hulu, and I think it's just going to get better from there. I'm super excited. Now, the reason I bring that up is because good on Seth MacFarlane. Just came out, has this big deal. So he was working with Fox for a long time. And he will still in the same capacity as he's going to be doing the Orville. He's going to see Family Guy until the end, and, you know, American Dad till the end. But he is not making any new shows for Fox. He's actually going over to Universal. And, whether it's going to be through NBC or he's going to do movies or whatever, I think that remains to be seen. But I think it's like $200 million for 7 years or something like that, maybe even 5. Sorry, I read the article the other day, and now I'm kind of drawing blanks on it. I should have written it down. But I'm just super excited. And I brought up the Orville. I was talking about that, and I'm excited for him to come back and keep doing that and such, because he's a great captain on that show. Captain Ed Mercer, he's terrific. But I cannot wait to see what this guy does. I'm sorry, I don't think it is movies, because I think he's still free to go and do movies, however he wants. So he's just going to develop TV for them. But what's he going to do on NBC? What's he going to do on all these other shows? Like, he's such a talented guy. I cannot wait. And I don't think they're going to be all animated shows or anything like that. Like, we've seen his range. We've seen what he can do. So, good on you, man. $200 million in your pocket. Happy to hear it. Good for you, buddy. I'm a big fan. So, with that, before I get on to my review of, I got a couple of things I want to go over. Dr. Dolittle, just read it today, is on its way to losing $100 million for the studio and Universal to boot, which already just lost $70 million on Cats. So they're not having such a great year. So yeah, Dr. Dolittle, I don't know. None of it ever really appealed to me. My wife really was into the trailer. I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I care. I don't even care about either of the originals. I thought the one with Eddie Murphy was pretty good. Rex Harrison was the other one. I just didn't. It wasn't for me, I guess. I just never really cared. I've seen them, but they never stood out. So when I saw this, I was like, Robert Downey Jr., I like him, and I like a few of the people playing the voices and stuff like that. But they never really gave you much about what's what. What are they going to do? What's the big adventure? And then eventually they show a dragon, and I was just kind of like, I'm out. I was like, all right, now it's dragons, and I get it. He can talk to animals, and only he can figure this out. So I didn't care, and so I didn't go see it. Yeah, I might go see it. I might see it when it comes out, but it's one of those ones that's just like, I didn't even care to go and review it. If somebody was paying me to go, I'd go. But nobody was. So but it is sad to see that Robert Downey Jr.'s first movie outside of since he left Marvel was to be a big flop. I wish he didn't go this route where it would have been Dr. Dolittle, but he always kind of beat to his different drum, and he always kind of went for movies that were a little different. Like when Sherlock came out, it was a very different type of vibe. Sherlock Holmes, sorry. Even when he did Iron Man, like he created his whole world, but it was just a different vibe. It was an offbeat character that nobody ever really read. So, for him to try with Dr. Dolittle, I thought was probably cool. But like I hear, even with the story, like there's a lot of complaints on the story. It's like they sacrificed too much with the story, and made it silly. There was almost like they were just banking on him, banking on. Well, I mean, Robert Downey Jr.'s in it, so he'll make a ton of money. And we all know how that goes. And now he's lost $100 million, and I wish his name wasn't attached to that, when that's really the studio's fault. So, with Dr. Dolittle, my first review for tonight, I just watched it today. It had just dropped today on digital streaming, was the Jay and Silent Bob reboot. Now, I'm a big Kevin Smith fan. I love Kevin Smith as a person, as a filmmaker back in the day mostly. But, I mean, as of late, I didn't love everything. I didn't love Yoga Hosers. I didn't love Tusk. I was kind of excited for Moose Jaws. That was the one out of that Canadian trilogy. I was like, that's the one I most want to see. And now I don't think he's ever going to do it because he's got so many other things going on. And I hope he keeps going on. I don't care if he does sequels. I'll see everything. I don't have to love it. I'll still go see it because I support him. Fellow Jersey guy. It definitely, something I will always go and check out. But watching the reboot today, it just kind of fell flat for me. It felt like he just was trying to tell the same tale, just a little bit differently from a father's perspective rather than a young man who wants to get laid's perspective. There were some cool, fun cameos that I thought were funny. There were some fun jokes. Don't get me wrong. He's going to have funny jokes in there that are smart. I thought Chris Jericho was probably my favorite cameo by far. Chris Hemsworth was pretty cool too. But there's a ton more. There was a really nice scene between Jason Mewes, and Kevin Smith and Ben Affleck. Where they kind of talk about fatherhood, parenthood, and such, and just kind of like how that changes you. And it was a cool little tie-in with Chasing Amy that I thought was really nice. That was probably my favorite part of the movie, being a dad now, and understanding where he's going from. But I got that. I wasn't a dad then, but I kind of got what he was going for in Jersey Girl with that. And that gets panned, and I don't think that's that bad of a movie. I thought it was a nice movie that just got panned too hard because it wasn't Kevin Smith being Kevin Smith. But overall, I think it's just a good movie. But you also kind of get them reconnecting because we know that Ben Affleck and Kevin Smith haven't talked in so long. That them kind of reconnecting and doing it on screen and kind of playing it a little bit was pretty funny. He does have his daughter in there. His daughter's pretty talented, Again, I wasn't a big fan of Yoga Hosers, but she went in there and did her thing. But she was good in. I mean, it was such a small part. It was a small part where you didn't get to see her shine as much, which is unfortunate for her because I do think she's a pretty talented actress. His daughter. Harley Quinn, and she's in the movie. She did just fine, but I don't know that I needed this movie. It felt like they were taking Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, which wasn't the best movie I think they could have rebooted. I do like the fact that they acknowledged that Dogma's real within that universe. I thought that was cool. But overall, they just didn't, it just missed the mark in my opinion. So, I don't know that I would watch it again. Maybe. It just doesn't hold the same weight with the jokes. Like, if I go back and watch Clerks, I'll always laugh. Chasing Amy, I'll always love that movie and laugh. Even Dogma, a lot of the older ones I will, but like this one just doesn't hold the same weight. I just didn't feel it. So, I mean, check it out for yourselves. I suggest checking out, renting it, just to support Kevin Smith. I love the fact that when he gets behind the camera and he goes and does his thing, again, it's a support thing. And some people might find it better than I did, and that's cool. And I hope they do. Again, I want to support the guy, but for me, it fell flat a little bit, and I just kind of wish it wasn't self-deprecating. Maybe that's not the right term. It just felt like it was just jokes about his career over and over and over again, and I was just hoping that it would stop, and just like kind of play out. I don't need the jokes over and over and over again. I'm fine with the cameos; they're all shoehorned in. I'm fine with the paying homage to your old jokes. One thing that was pretty sad was I took a picture of it. A red box outside of what used to be RST Video. That hurt. That was like a dagger in the heart, but I got it, and I definitely understood why. But it is what it is. But with that being said, that's how I felt about Jay and Silent Bob reboot. So just wish it was a little better. I think, like I said, I wish it wasn't as big of a joke about his career as it was, because I think that took away from the movie. Then we have, I can't believe we're going to talk about this. So, I watched the first 3 episodes of Crisis on Infinite Earths, the TV event where all the DC TV shows and the DC movies were all going to be tied in together as a multiverse coexisting thing that just brought everything together. That's what they were trying to do. It's just bring everything together and kind of condense everything down. And that's how it started. And it started off pretty good. I thought they did a good job with it. They introduced some things. They introduced, like, back in December on a different show, Supergirl, Batwoman, and Flash's show. They wound up killing off the 1990s John Wesley Shipp's Flash. He was the one that sacrificed himself to destroy the Anti-Monitor's Anti-Monitor cannon or whatever. And then you had they went and visited a lot of people. You got to see Smallville kind of reemerge. John Cryer's Lex Luthor was going around killing different Supermen, so you got an homage to the death of Superman, kind of in a right way, like it was an image that was just like, I wish the movie had done this. So you got some cool things. You got Burt Ward, a lot of these were ending. You got the Birds of Prey TV show kind of played out, and you got Dina Meyer. It was just her voice, and then Ashley Scott, who played the Huntress. She was running around. You saw her. You just went back and you saw Robert Wool. Robert Wool came out, and I know I talked about this in a couple episodes ago in the December episode, but just kind of retouch on it. So I was like, it started out all right. The first 3 episodes, I was like, all right, I'm in. I will accept that the paragons that they have put together, instead of Batman, it's Batwoman as a paragon of courage. In all of these multiverses, and it's supposed to be a bat symbol that leads them to understand who the paragon is, but it's not Batman. It's Batwoman. Fine, whatever. I understand they have a Batwoman TV show. I'm in. Just show me what you got. So, you go that route, and then you have Supergirl as a paragon of hope, which you have Superman on the show. You have him on the show. And like Tyler Hoechlin plays him. He's on the show. He's on Supergirl. And he's not the paragon of hope. It's Supergirl as the paragon of hope. You visited multiple Supermen who, Smallville, Tom Welling, which I get, they wrote his character in a way, like, spoiler, they wrote his character in a way where he gave up his power so he didn't have him anymore. I still don't know how that would make him hopeful, But anyway, fine, whatever. We'll play that off. He doesn't have his power, so he can't be a paragon, even though there was a human being who is a paragon. Whatever. They do pick a Superman to be a paragon of truth. Fine, I get it, and I'm on board with it. And it's Brendan Routh, who is essentially Christopher Reeve, because he was the continuation from the Christopher Reeve movie. So I get it. He's going to be the paragon of truth. He is the representation of Christopher Reeve. And then he gets blinked out of existence because Lex Luthor rewrote history in the Destiny book or whatever it was and made himself the paragon of truth. Whatever. So now they come back after the break, which is the Christmas break, and it's the 7 paragons. All of existence is blinked out. Flash is trying to run through the Speed Force. You find out that the Speed Force is, in fact, because Oliver Queen died in the first episode, I think the Supergirl episode, and then he came back as Spectre. Cool, whatever. You need a Spectre. He could be Spectre. Show's ending. It's fine. So he comes back as Spectre, and now he tells Barry, he's like, the Speed Force is the way to getting back the multiverse. What you have to do is go back to the beginning of time, before the multiverse existed, or whatever else it was, and before the Anti-Monitor released the Anti-Monitor, before the Monitor released the Anti-Monitor. So they do all that. They go back, but he has to find everybody because now they're all stuck in the Speed Force, and he has to find Oliver. Spectre Oliver. So he does that. He goes through, and you kind of get he meets the Flash in the movie, Ezra Miller. Kind of run into each other and they talk, and it's kind of a fun little scene, a little buffer scene that just kind of connects those movies to the universes as well. So I mean that was cool to see, but then you go forward and. They go back, and now it's in a quarry. They're in the beginning of time in a quarry. I don't know how that works out, but whatever. And they have to fight the phantom ghosts or whatever that Anti-Monitor brings with them. And so they're doing that, and Spectre's fighting Anti-Monitor, and it ends. It is such a... You know how if you read comic books... And this is for my comic fans who especially have read Civil War, and you see that panel, that 2-page panel, where it's Stark in his side and Captain America in his side, and they're lined up and they're facing each other, ready to go, and it's this epic-looking panel of Civil War that's just intense and beautiful and amazing. And then you turn around, and we got Civil War. Which was a good movie, and I enjoyed it. But it doesn't that whole scene, when it's one running at the other, does not live up to that panel. It doesn't. Come on, we all know it's just the airport fight scene with 10 people. It is what it is. I accepted it because they didn't build it out as much, and that's fine. And they still did a good job, and they didn't try to make it bigger than it was. And they didn't even really try to play it up like, this is so epic. It was just this is a fight that's been culminating for years. And we were in. This was not that. And if you have ever read Crisis on Infinite Earths, it's got some even more epic panels. And this was not that. And so now you have... the 7 paragons all fighting these phantom beasts. I can't even remember the names. I was so annoyed by it. And then Spectre fighting Anti-Monitor, and then he kind of low pins the Anti-Monitor with his lights coming out of his eyes. And everything ends, and then they all wake up and they're back home. And they all live on one world now. Whereas before, they all lived on different multiverses. All different multiverses on different Earths. Now, Supergirl is on the same Earth as the Flash. Batwoman is on the same Earth as Flash and Supergirl. And everybody, Black Lightning is on the same Earth. Blah, 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 blah. So, what this essentially said, because the last episode is them kind of batting cleanup on Legends of Tomorrow and just like saying, well, this is what the world is now. And and kind of dealing with the fact that Oliver Queen is still dead, which they dealt with 5 episodes ago, but whatever. So they go through, and I want to say this was cool. We get to the end, and I wanted to say this was cool, but it kind of bugged me. They're all standing, and they put Oliver's outfit, his Green Arrow uniform or whatever costume, in like a glass case, and it's standing there, and it's in an there's like an arrow fire pit. It's like an eternal fire pit, and they light it up, and like it's just going to be in this warehouse, and it's always going to burn. And that's the remembrance of Ollie. So they do that, and I'm just like, okay, fine. It's in a warehouse, whatever. Not a big deal. Seen the warehouse before, especially from other crossovers. And then they turn around, and he's like, it's an old Star Labs building, so like nobody knows about it. It's, whatever, I own it, blah blah blah. And that's the Flash. That's because in this show, Barry Allen owns Star Labs now. So he goes back and he goes, I set this up, and he reveals a table, and it's got all the chairs around it with all their emblems on it. That's what they wanted to set up. That's what 7 years in the making, Final Crisis, or not Final Crisis, Crisis on Infinite Earths, this crossover, that's what this was. I don't know why they couldn't just set them all on the same Earth. I don't know why we couldn't figure this out from the beginning. But it took you 7 years to get to this point where your whole end goal was just shown in the last episode. You wanted to put them all on the same Earth and build Justice League. Because when you pull out and you see the building, it's the Justice League's building. Yeah. It just fizzled. I'm sorry. I didn't care. And I was so mad because like you started off pretty good. And not great. You didn't start off perfect, but you started off pretty good. And I liked where it was going. But this whole thing was just dismal and boring, and I just didn't like it. And I thought it was a poor ending for Green Arrow, too. Especially he's got like 2 more episodes left, so I don't know how that works because he's dead. But I'm sure they'll figure it out. I think they're going to do a Black Canary and a Black Canary TV show, or I think it's going to be Green Arrow and the Black Canaries or something like that. I don't know. But that's what we're getting. So they're still going to build DC. We're still going to get crossovers. We're going to have the Justice League now. They're all on the same Earth. They gave Brandon Routh's Superman a pretty cool send-off where, because he lost everybody, because it's that the Joker actually they kind of allude to the Joker killed Lois and Barry and everybody in the Daily Planet, so he wore the black and red Kingdom Come outfit. By the end of this, he's back to red and yellow, so it kind of gives you that he's back to the true Superman that we know and love. But they don't give... The last thing they kind of say to Clark Kent from Smallville is like, you're all going to die anyway. And then they do. And then you never see them again. I was like, at least give him a send-off. Like, no, that Clark Kent's just dead? All right. I don't know. I was just... The whole thing. There's a lot of things like... and they showed everybody. They went around. They showed the Titans. They showed the Doom Patrol. All the different shows and some of the movies and stuff. And I want to say it's cool, but it just didn't grab me. And I realized why I kind of got out of these shows. I was really into them in the beginning, and it just showed me even more reason why I'm out of them. But yeah, that was Crisis on Infinite Earths. It fell flat, and it was just kind of lame, honestly. And it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad that on the night I'm talking about both, both James and Bob reboot and Crisis on Infinite Earths. 2 things I love so much, and it was just like, just not a big fan. But what were you? Were you a big fan? Did you enjoy both of them? Or anything else I talked about? I'd love to hear from you. So that's the show, and please give me a like and subscribe here at the Scene Snobs channel and YouTube. Also, give me a follow on Instagram and Twitter at the Scene Snob. We have lots of shows. Go check out everything we've got. We got tons of stuff coming up too. We're thescenesnobs.com. And we have all the shows on there, everything, links to everything. So go check it out and let us know what you think and reach out to us. So like I said, like and subscribe. Follow us at the Scene Snob on Instagram and Twitter. We're also on Facebook. That's where this all started. The whole thing started as written reviews on Facebook, and then it kind of grew from there and just kind of went on. So I would love for you guys to go check it out. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear back. You can message me. If you have any special requests for reviews, whether it be old movies, old TV shows, whatever. We have a wrestling podcast. We do the same. We have Royal Rumble prediction video coming out this weekend for the 20-minute wrestling podcast. So let me know what you guys think, and look forward to hearing from you. And we'll talk to you soon. Take care.